Today, I want to dig a little bit deeper into Caleb Williams' first 7 starts and how I believe he has turned a corner since then, and go ahead and compare that to Jared Goff in his first 7 games he spent with Ben Johnson. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Not enough talk has been said about Ben Johnson as a play caller. The creativity and ability to get the most out of his players really stands out, but he also runs a complicated offense, and it takes players time to learn it, let alone master it. In Detroit, he didn't hit the ground running, and it took time to get on the same page with Jared Goff. Not only that, but he's building a completely new system and playbook from the ground up in Chicago. He's building around Caleb Williams in this offense. But one point I wanted to talk about, and a reason to believe that Caleb could be even better down the stretch. I want to go ahead and dig a little bit deeper into this comparison. So the stats I'm showing now are Caleb Williams and Jared Goff's first 7 games with Ben Johnson calling plays. Now Caleb is in year 2 of the NFL, basically getting a redo of his rookie season. But Jared Goff was in year 7 when he finally got to work with Ben Johnson. He had already been to a Super Bowl with Sean McVay. He was a veteran in the NFL, and he had already thrown for 4,000 plus yards twice in his career. But despite already having 5 years with Coach McVay, it still took Goff some time before he got on the same page with Ben Johnson. The Lions started out 1-6 that year. Goff did put up decent numbers, but he took too many sacks and he threw 6 interceptions in the first 7 games. But something clicked right before midseason. And just like that, suddenly Goff was a different player in the second half of the season. Now, this wasn't a small change. This was a drastic difference in Goff's play after the first 7 weeks. They would start out 1-6 before things changed, and they won 8 of the final 10 games and finished the year 9-8. But the differential in Goff's numbers are staggering. In the first 7 games, he threw 12 TDs and 6 interceptions, a 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. But the final 10 games, he threw 17 touchdowns to just 1 INT. That's a 17-to-1 ratio, and he also took less sacks in more games, and overall, it just felt like something clicked. The Lions, after being a losing franchise for years and years, suddenly were a playoff caliber team. And since then, they've remained one of the NFL's best. But I give a ton of credit to Ben Johnson, who helped turn that offense around from a disaster to an absolute powerhouse. So now that Caleb Williams has had more than 7 games with Ben, it's time to look at the numbers a little bit deeper. Has Caleb's breakout already started? So let's go ahead and compare his first 7 games this year to his last 2 weeks. It's a small sample size so far, but it does appear that Caleb has performed better and maybe turned a corner. After scoring only 10 total touchdowns in the first 7 games of the season, he's scored 6 total TDs in the last 2 weeks. 4 passing, 1 rushing, and 1 receiving, really showing off his full set of skills. But on top of that, Caleb has not turned the ball over in 2 straight games. 6 touchdowns, 0 turnovers, and just 2 sacks. His completion percentage is actually down the last 2 weeks. Something of an outlier here, though, because I think anyone who watches the games knows why that would be a little bit lower, and it's not on Caleb. Not an excuse here, but there have simply been a ton of drop passes the last 2 games. I counted at least 10 drops the last 2 weeks. That's unacceptable. And if the Bears can improve on that, Caleb's numbers would look even better. Another thing that stands out when looking at the numbers, though, are the rushing yards. Caleb has been much more decisive and playing less hero ball. When he avoids sacks, he's either getting rid of the ball quicker or trying to make a play with his legs. He's not just running around in the pocket. The first 8 weeks of the season, he had only 99 total yards rushing. He has more rushing yards in the last 2 weeks than he did the first 8 weeks of the season. I've always thought Caleb's athleticism was underrated, and he could do more with his legs. We already knew his arm talent was special, but when nothing else is there, use that athleticism and keep drives alive. It seems like Ben Johnson has helped him unlock that part of his game as well. So if this trend can continue and Caleb can take that next step, the Bears will be very dangerous in the second half of the season. And with how tough this schedule gets, we need Caleb to improve if we want to keep winning. I think it's something that could definitely happen here, although I will point out Caleb is not Jared Goff. He's a completely different player and he doesn't have 7 years of experience in the NFL. So there likely will be more growing pains before he reaches his full potential. But the signs are there. The growth is apparent, and this offense is dangerous. Caleb Williams is also PFF's highest graded QB in the NFL over these last 2 weeks, and that's after being near the bottom early on this season. But I'm so ecstatic that we landed Ben Johnson to coach this team. I believe he's an offensive guru, and he's already helping to unlock Caleb Williams' real potential. The arrow is still pointing straight up, and we have not played a complete game on offense yet, and there's still so much room for improvement. But this team is 6-3, and they're tied for first in the NFC North. And if Caleb did, in fact, turn a corner, watch out for the Bears in the second half of the season. Next up is a big matchup against the Minnesota Vikings. Please hit that like button for me. Let me know in the comments your predictions for this one. Can the Bears go to 7-3? They need to get a division win. So stay tuned, and until next time, bear down.